Warehouse 88 presents Sign for Delivery, Episode 1, The Moon. Okay, here we go. Package, a simple yellow manila envelope. Pickup destination, Violet Crows, a metaphysical supply store. Drop-off destination, South Houston near Kima Boardwalk. Receiver, a Miss Holly Adeline. Okay, let's see if anything comes from this one. I knew it would happen. I eventually, I knew it would. I knew I wasn't just crazy. Okay. Where to start? I went to the pickup destination, a small hole-in-the-wall place called Violet Crows. It was about what you would expect. Stained glass windows, a hand-painted wooden sign outside, a thick and used welcome mat that had a rainbow peace symbol sitting on the front door. I remember the moment I entered the place, it smelled like, I don't know, sage? I don't know any of that kind of stuff. It didn't smell like typical candles, though. The inside was cramped, all manner of crystal and incense sticks piled high on shelves amidst the random stacks of knickknacks. There was a small path that led to the front counter, where a young-looking woman with dark blue hair and lipstick was scrolling on her phone. I said I was here for the pickup order, and she pulled out a manila packing envelope from under the counter. I was about to reach for it when she offered me a muffin. I don't remember there being a silver platter on the counter next to her, but when she offered, I could smell them like they came fresh from the oven. I figured why not, and I had one. It was still warm, moist and crumbly, and tasted of cranberries. I took the package and thanked her, heading out the door. I was back on my bike and down the road, business as usual, when I stopped on the sidewalk to get my bearings. I delivered to a lot of the Houston area for a while now, but this specific address I wasn't that familiar with. So I pulled out my phone to try to pull up a map, and I almost had a heart attack when the screen on my phone was glitching out like nothing I'd ever seen before. Given my current situation, my phone is one of the most expensive things I have in my possession, so it suddenly wanting to spaz out on me is not something I was mentally prepared for. It's here that I need to reiterate. I am not, and was not ever, under the influence. I thought I was, honestly, but I've confirmed since that I was not. The thing that shook me out of my mild panic over my phone was someone walking past me on the sidewalk. I didn't get a good look at them, and I really didn't have to. All I could really tell about them was, and I swear this was true, but they had abnormally long and pointed ears, and their skin had an almost iridescent sheen about them. I only saw it out of the corner of my eye, and when I looked again, the person had already turned the corner out of view. I decided I would worry about my phone later. I still had the main address, and I was wasting daylight. I continued towards my destination, thinking about the strange thing that I had seen. It felt a little out of place, but it could easily have been someone in cosplay or something of the sort, but something in my gut told me that it wasn't. I found myself stopped at a crosswalk, a couple people waiting for the light to change so they could get to the other side of the street. I looked ahead, and I spotted a homeless person. At least that's what I thought it was at first. This city is no stranger to the homeless or people who look that way, but the longer I looked, the more it seemed to change in front of me. I thought it was some old person sitting on the ground and leaning against the building. They appeared to be wearing some sort of ratty-looking hoodie that obscured their face. Even now, I can't recall the color of their skin nor any other distinguishing features. I thought it strange that the first thing that came to mind was that it looked vaguely human-shaped. I realize now that there was no face, there was no skin. There was no eyes, there was no mouth, no nose, nothing but darkness. A darkness that fed on the light around it, sucking away all the color and life from its surroundings. As people walked past the creature, I saw color leave their bodies as well. disappearing into the void beneath the clothes. Someone bumped into my shoulder, a small group of people crossing the street towards whatever that thing was. I watched as they approached it, ignorant and oblivious to the not human thing across the way. And it looked at me. I went the other way. There was no way I was going to get any closer to that thing. At this point, I also figured that I had been roofied somehow, and I was going through some sort of hallucination attack, or something. I don't know. I've never done drugs, at least not willingly, and that was the only thing that I could think of that could explain any of this. As I raced down the street, I tried to think of what could have possibly caused it. The only thing that I'd eaten recently had been that cranberry muffin. But why would she do that? Was it just for fun? I took a detour, wanting to make as few stops as possible to my destination. Buildings, people, faces, and colors all whizzed past me in a blur. I was scared to stop and look at anything. Something inside of me coiled like a cornered rat, knowing that there were cats in the darkness, but not knowing where they were. There was a tunnel, a path I had taken plenty of times before. It wasn't very long, it was well lit, and was far enough away from people that, for a moment, I felt safe. I had to slow down because the road curved inside the tunnel, and I didn't want to crash. The tunnel wasn't empty. Leading up to the tunnel, I saw maybe 2 or 3 people standing there. But they weren't people. Like a corpse technically isn't a person anymore. Sunken features, ghastly skin, jaundiced yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the shadows. And there were more of them inside the tunnel, all standing on the side of the road, all watching me, heads turning as I passed. I don't know how many were there, but I've never seen that many dead people all at once. I don't really remember much else after the tunnel. I know that my destination was nearby. I passed it many times before on delivery, but this time, like everything else, it was wrong. No, that's not correct. That's not accurate enough. This felt dangerous. As my bike slowed to a stop, I knew that I was in front of my destination. It stood out from the rest, towering above them like a twisted, leafless oak tree amidst a row of manicured hedge bushes. A warped and broken shack made of thrown-together wood and shingles sat atop a series of tree trunks, but they weren't trees. Pale yellow struts that bent at odd angles, ending in claws that almost resembled a bird's talon. The sharp claws dug into the sandy earth below, and I swear I saw one of them twitch. The cabin seemed to be breathing in time with my own slow and shallow breath. I found myself parking my bike and walking towards the place. I wanted to run. I wanted to forget all about this and escape from whatever drug-addled hallucination that was now my living nightmare. But I moved on, propelled by some unknown force that I don't know if it was my psyche clinging to my job for sanity, or maybe some puppeteer having his last joke with me. With every step that I took, I could hear the building creak as if something inside was approaching the front door. Despite it being easily 20 feet up in the air, by the time I was at the front door, it had lowered itself to greet me. Where I found the strength to knock on the door, I don't know. Maybe I was too scared beyond fear at that point. But I did. I knocked on the door 3 times. My skin didn't burst into flame or turn into a mass of bugs, and it felt like any other wooden door I've knocked on before. When the door opened, I almost collapsed. Before me was a figure, towering above me much like the house did. They were hunched, their form barely making it out the doorframe. I couldn't see much, wrinkly gray skin that peeled like old wallpaper, a mass of stringy black hair that hung down obscuring most of the face, a long bent nose and piercing green eyes. The eyes surprised me. They looked almost human. Maybe that's why I simply held out the envelope. Wordlessly, the creature took it, opened it, and reached inside. And just like that, the world returned to its mundane normalcy. I was standing on the second flight of stairs in front of what looked to be a simple bay house on stilts. I blinked and looked down at the elderly woman dressed in a simple pair of overalls and red shirt with rolled up sleeves. Her white hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and there was a canary perched on her shoulder. In her fingers was a card. Don't ask me how I knew it was a tarot card, I just did. She was holding it, but looking at me. As weird as it is to remember this, I recall seeing her pull the card from the envelope and turning it upright to look at it. When she took the clipboard to sign for the package, I saw a glimpse of the face of the card. I couldn't really make out the words, but the depiction of several faces of the moon was part of the illustration. She handed me back the clipboard, signing as Miss Holly Adeline. She offered me a muffin before I left. I could smell it. Fresh and the barest hint of cranberries. I politely declined, saying I had already had one. I didn't like the tone in her laugh as I made my way back to the streets. And that's it. That's what happened. I came home right after and scrambled to find something to get my thoughts down on paper. Or I guess, in this case, an MP3 on this old laptop. I guess I'll see what happened next. See if anything comes of the delivery. I mean, this is by no means the first time something weird has happened, but it is probably the most weird. But nothing has ever happened afterwards before. Oh, the delivery payment came through. Screw it. I'm going out for sushi. Sign for Delivery is produced by Warehouse 88 Entertainment and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International License. Today's episode was written and directed by Isaac Crutchfield. Thank you for listening.